Hey, what's up everybody out there? If you haven't already read the title, this video is going to be about reticulated pythons and what you need to look into and just some facts about them if you're going to be buying one. Alright, sorry for no shirt. I keep my house hot as hell because of the snakes I have, so anyways. Alright, so we're going to cover a couple things like, my phone goes off. I'm going to cover a couple things. This cage that you're going to need, the bedding that's good for them, feeding habits, and handling. Bear with me, I might jump back and forth on this. So, first off, if you're going to be buying a reticulated python, you definitely need to look into size, their space. All right, you're going to need a lot of space for them to move around, so be ready for it. If you're looking into buy a reticulated python, I'm pretty sure you already know that they can get up to like 30 plus feet. These females can, okay? So if you're first time, if you're gonna look into getting reticulated pythons, I definitely recommend male over female. They don't get anywhere near as big. They are still huge snakes. They do get 14 to like 18 feet. I think it's the biggest one I've ever seen, at least. Right, and they don't grow as fast and they don't get as fat. But all right, now as far as cage wise, with the cage, I'd recommend open front, like sliding doors, over like a fish tank, which works for a lot of other snakes. I mean, it works really great for them, keeps temperature great, alright? But with reticulated pythons, you need a wee bit more humidity, and you need to keep the tank a lot hotter. Um, you need to keep the tank at about like 85 to 90 degrees. Don't let it drop below 80 degrees because then they're at risk for getting like what do they call it, respiratory infections or shit like that, and that shit gets really expensive with the bed, alright? But as far as size on the tank, usually as for 2 to 5 foot, which is about a baby to 4 or 5 months, after you get it, you can get like 4 or 5 foot tank. That's more than enough room for them to stretch out and move around and shit like that, alright? Once they get bigger, past that, you want to get 7 to 8, 6 to 8 foot tank. Sometimes bigger depending on how big you're or how much you want to spend, I guess. Alright, with that, since they have the room to move around, they're usually a lot more docile. They're not as nippy or cage aggressive or anything like that because they're not cramped up all the time. A lot of people say you only need like half of the snake's total length as far as their cage. If you've got an 8 foot snake, you need a 4 foot tank. Alright, I don't practice that. It's not something that I believe in. I try to give my snakes a good amount of room, not too much to where they get overwhelmed, but at least where they can stretch out more than a quarter and a half of their body. Right? And with bedding, I use cedar mulch. It's really, really cheap and it works just as good, if not better, than like the Repti bark or other stuff like that. Alright, you can get it at like Lowe's, Home Depot, any other garden shop. It's really cheap, and it doesn't saturate as much when they actually do go to the bathroom, so you can spot clean a lot better, and you don't have to change out the bedding so much. Don't ever use fucking aspen bedding. That shit is for rabbits and guinea pigs, not snakes. Alright, I don't recommend that at all. Fucking, it is a breeding ground for mold and mites and just nasty shit. Alright, believe me, you do not want your snake to have mites. It is a pain in the ass and can get pretty expensive. So you try picking off a bunch of little bugs out of a 7 foot snake, right? I've had to do it before and it is not fun. Now, with feeding, size appropriate meals, of course, I do not ever power feed. It is really bad for the animal. I mean, unless you're breeding, then you kind of have to power feed because I have to gain weight, but I doubt you're going to be doing that if you're watching this video. Right? From up until they're about 5 feet, 6 feet, you can feed them medium to large size rats. Sometimes if they get big enough, you can feed them jumbos. Right? After they hit about 9 feet, 8 to 9 feet, you want to transition them to rabbits. It's It's just a lot easier than having to feed them 6 or 7 rats, to feed them a 4 or 5 pound bunny. I don't like to live feed, because then they associate movement with food, and that's the last thing you want is to move your hand and then think it's food and bite you. Right? And don't ever cage feed. They're already really cage aggressive as it is, so when you cage feed them, they're going to associate your hands with food, which you don't want, because I do not want to get bit, and I'm pretty sure you don't either. Right? It's not a fun thing to be. If you're forced to cage feed, I know a couple people that are, because they don't have the room or they have other cats or anything like that. Alright, hook train them. They're not that expensive, and it will save you one big doctor bill. Alright, because a snake bite is not cheap, at least not a big snake bite. Anyways, and you can buy a snake hook for like $40 for a good snake hook, and if you can't do that, then you can go get can't remember, I think it's called like a paint masher or some shit like that from Home Depot. It's a hook pretty much with a plastic flap on it used for mixing paint. You just break off the flap and screw a pole into the end of it, and it works just as well. Okay, so if you don't have $40-50 to spend on a snake hook, it's a good alternative. And with handling them, alright, handling them goes almost hand in hand with feeding them. Alright, if you don't feed your snake enough, you're not going to be able to handle them, because they're going to want to bite you all the time. Alright, you want to feed your snakes every week and a half or so. After they get bigger, you can feed them every 2 weeks, and they're usually pretty fine with it. Okay, but when you handle them, you want to make sure you handle them at least every 2 days. That way they get that interaction and they get used to and shit like that. Let them run around, whatever, so that way they're not stuck in a tank for months. What else? Oh, well, anyways, reticulated pythons are really smart and attentive, so you need to respect that, and believe me, they will catch you off guard. They're sneaky as hell, alright? So you want to make sure you always know where their head is at, everything like that. I trust all my snakes, but I still give them that respect, because I could do something wrong, not know it, and they'll bite you before you can even blink, alright? So be attentive at all times, please. I think that is about it, actually. I don't know how in depth I want to go into this. But if you have any other questions or anything, feel free to comment or leave a video response. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you as quick as I can. Alright, and actually I have a question for all you guys. How did you get into reptiles? Actually, I don't care if it's lizards, snakes, anything, right? How did you get into them? Because I actually did a video response to one of my other friends' videos on it, and it kind of got me intrigued about it, alright? So, and how did you get into reticulated pythons too? What interested you in them? Was it the colors? Was it the size? Was it past experiences? Whatever, right? Video comment, please. Right? So, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good shit, and I'll hopefully have a video up of my new reticulated python in a week or so.